So have you checked out that new store in town? It's great. It's got everything you could ever want, and at a great price too. Like, no strings attached either. At least, I hope there aren't. Here are 19 reasons to watch Needful Things. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. And in this episode, we're still in 1993 and we are covering Fraser C Heston's adaptation of the 1991 novel Needful Things. So I'm going to get into my 19 reasons for you to watch this fun flick in just a few moments, but first a couple of quick plugs from me. So actually, when it comes to plugs, everything you need to know is in the description. Scroll down and you'll find links to the Stephen Quiz book that I wrote, to some of my fiction, to my newsletter, to the Constant Writers podcast, and to my Letterboxd profile. Any support you can give on any of those channels would be much appreciated, but above all else, you just being here and watching this right now is absolutely plenty. So thank you, but if you want to find out more, check the description. Okay, let's get back to Needful Things. So as I said, in this video, I'm going to give you 19 reasons to watch Needful Things, and for any reasons that might spoil a first-time watch, I will cluster those towards the end of the list and hide them behind a spoiler alert. And you can check the timestamps in the description for when that's coming. And if you want to avoid those spoilery reasons, you can just jump straight to the outro once we've got there. But there will be a handful of reasons at least for you to watch this that won't spoil anything, so do stick around. And if you want to watch this film, it is relatively easy to find. You can rent it or buy it now on a bunch of places, including Apple, Amazon, and right here on YouTube. And if you want to check out my 19 reasons to read the book of Needful Things, well, you can absolutely do that too. It's right here, or if you're able, just tap the link up in the corner and you'll find it, okay? Right, got your money? Let's open that door, jingle that bell, and let's have a look at what's inside. Here are 19 reasons to watch Needful Things. So my takeaway reason, this is just prime peak autumnal King watching. It's cozy, it's fun, there are loads of OTT performances and characters, and it's just something to immerse yourself in.
Yes, it is, but shit! Ow!
Is it prestige King? No. Is it as good as the book? No. But is it worth watching?
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is also your chance to spend an extended amount of time in Castle Rock with all of its totally normal people.
Everybody is insane everywhere!
And, fun fact, this is the only movie produced by Castle Rock Entertainment that is set in Castle Rock. So there's actually an air of mystery about this one, because I'm talking about the theatrical release, but there was a release for TV that had an hour's additional material to it, which was cut from the theatrical release. And that's been pretty difficult to track down until very recently. In the most recent 4K, Blu-ray, whatever release, both versions were put on there. I've not seen the extra hour yet. I've not seen the TV cut, but I know it has Brian Rusk's mum with the Elvis sunglasses, and you see that in the trailer, and that had always confused me. And it starts with a high-speed car chase. I mean, there's loads here that I definitely want to explore, so I will be trying to track down that TV release if possible. But just bear that in mind, there are two versions out there, and they are literally an hour's length different. So what's the hook of this one? Well, it's the same of the book. We're in the town of Castle Rock. A new store opens called Needful Things, and it's run by a charming man called Leland Gaunt, who seems to know what everyone wants, and seems to have what everyone wants, and seems to make it affordable to those people. Sure, he'll take a bit of money, but he'll also ask you to play a little prank.
Trick. Well, more like a tiny prank. No big deal. And no one's ever going to suspect you.
The thing is, Leland Gaunt's got a bit of the devil about him, and he seems to know all of the town's politics, despite being a new guy in town, and all of those little pranks are very strategically done, and they set off chains of events that cause, ultimately, fucking carnage.
I know what you done, you crazy bitch!
As I mentioned at the start, this one was directed by one Fraser C Heston, and if you're thinking, that name sounds familiar, well, you're right. He's the son of the famous actor Charlton Heston. Now, there is some excellent talent among the cast who, for my money, give some really good performances in what could be a very camp and silly film. Let's delve into that talent, starting off with Leland Gaunt, played by the brilliant Max Von Sydow. As I said, the devil incarnate. He is suave, charming, convincing, and very creepy as well.
I'm afraid I have a tendency to turn up the heat.
Also, fun fact, Max Von Sydow played Jesus in the Ten Commandments, which also featured a child Fraser C Heston as Moses. So effectively for Needful Things, you've got Moses telling Jesus how to be the devil. So next up, shout out to Ed Harris as Alan Pangborn.
Alan Pangborn, sheriff around these parts.
The second Pangborn we got in 1993 following Michael Rooker in The Dark Half, and my heart's true version of Alan Pangborn. He is fantastic. He's a hero you can get behind, and he's the lead that this film really needs. So elsewhere, we've got Bonnie Bedalia as Polly, we've got Amanda Plummer as Nettie, and we've got Valerie Bromfield as Wilma Jerzyk.
Shit! Goddamn turkey shit!
All of them brilliantly cast and put in terrific performances that really help boost this cast and really play into the ensemble feel that is crucial to the book as well. So Nettie Cobb in particular, the doomed link between those characters, she feels like a wonderful transition of a King character from page to screen. Just spot on. But of course, the true star of this film is J.T. Walsh as Danforth Buster Keaton.
Honey dip donuts, yeah!
I mentioned OTT performances. I mean, that is him, but it's perfectly in sync with what his character needs to be. And honestly, his performance in this is iconic. So lastly, before spoilers, don't get too drawn in or distracted by the reviews for this one. They're generally not so great, but I think that's a little unfair. This is a pretty solid King adaptation and a fun watch. The music is used in a really playful way. The setups between all of the different scenarios are well done, and they bring it together pretty well and nail the ending for my money as well. It's just an enjoyable watch. It might be a little bit long, but there's plenty to get out of this. It's definitely worth checking out, particularly if you've never seen it before. Okay, from this point onwards, we're going to be talking about things that might spoil a first-time watch, so consider this your spoiler alert. If you want to skip to the outro, find the link in the description, or if you want to bail here, you can just bail and I will see you soon. But otherwise, stick around because I've got a few more reasons for you to watch Needful Things coming right up. Okay, so on to differences from the book, and there are a few, and one that for me does cause this film to lose a point is the lack of Ace Merrill. So in the book, an adult Ace Merrill comes back to Castle Rock and becomes Leland Gaunt's right-hand man. And that right-hand man role is kind of fulfilled by Buster Keaton in this one, which is fine, but the lack of Ace just feels like a missed opportunity. That would have been very cool, at least for my money. Talking about my money a lot, aren't I? I guess we are going shopping after all. Hope I don't have to play any pranks on anyone. So also different from the book is Hugh Priest's purchase. So in the book, he buys like a foxtail, which I've always found to be a bit weird. In the film, much smarter choice, he buys his high school jacket, his football jacket back. And that brings on a wave of nostalgia. Just a smarter choice. It's a more tangible item. And, well, he wears it around town when he's doing all of Gaunt's deeds. It's just more obvious.
Hello, Hugh.
So let's pick out some of the cool scenes. I really like seeing the pranks go down. The highlights for me are definitely Brian Rusk using those apples to smash Wilma's windows, Nettie going round and putting those hilarious notices up for Danforth. Some of the things written on there. Cornholing your mother? Yeah, sure, okay. And trigger warning for animal cruelty here, but Nettie's dog getting skinned alive. Pretty nasty as a prank. And that last one was quite dark, and actually that brings me on to this next point. This movie isn't afraid to go dark when it needs to. There's a scene where Brian attempts suicide. I mean, that's like a 12-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid, in what is a pretty mainstream movie. Yeah, and it went there. However, my favourite scene just has to be when J.T. Walsh's Danforth Keaton just goes a little crazy. Really, really good, really well done. Particularly the phone call afterwards.
I killed my wife. Is that wrong? I didn't mean to.
As for my favourite line, well, it's Pangborn stating the obvious of what Leland Gaunt is not.
He's not a human being.
So when it comes to links to other King properties, there are a few. I've already mentioned Castle Rock Entertainment. That's Rob Reiner's company, and that's the company that also made Misery, Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, Hearts in Atlantis, Dreamcatcher. And then we've got Ed Harris, who was married to Amy Madigan, who was in The Dark Half earlier in 1993, which also featured an Alan Pangborn character, so that's kind of fun. J.T. Walsh made an uncredited appearance in Misery, and Bonnie Bedalia was in the 1979 version of Salem's Lot. Lastly, this is just a fine piece of escapism to spend 2 hours kicking back and watching shit go crazy. You will have a good time with it, I promise.
Don't you see what he's done?
Okay, there we go, 19 reasons to watch Needful Things. Let me know what you think of this movie, and let me know what would be on the shelves of Needful Things if you happen to go in. What would you end up buying? And what would cause you to have to do some pranks for old Leland Gaunt? Let me know what your Needful Thing is in the comments. Also, in the description, you will find links to my newsletter, to my fiction, to my Stephen King quiz book, features a quiz on this movie, and my Letterboxd profile and the Constant Writers podcast. Do check out any of those if you're able to. Any extra support would be much appreciated. And thank you so much for watching this one. Please feel free to share this with a friend or tell a friend about this channel if you know other people who are into Stephen King stuff. And that is about it. Join us again next time because it's time for this month's book special. Woo!
Shut up! Shut